Wow, the room is packed.
And
Good
so
evening.
many women.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Forbes India's celebration of woman power.
Tonight, we are in a room that feels very different from one that made news just last week. At the summit-level talks between the US and China, Geeta Gopinath pointed out a striking detail. Not one woman at the table.
Tonight, as we look around this room, we see the exact opposite. Women at the table, on the stage, and in conversation, including the two who were told yesterday that they were hosting this today and have been mildly panicking ever since. But here we are. Thank you. That room had power, this room has power, and it is making a point. And that contrast tells us exactly why platforms like W-Power matter.
Because rooms like this, Nanny, don't happen by accident.
Absolutely.
They don't come easy, and they have never been handed over. And that is why tonight is special. This is not just an evening to honor and celebrate women achievers. It is also a gathering of enablers, people who make it possible for others to say, I did it, and so will you.
At Forbes India, we have always tried to spotlight stories of inspiration, of those who many have been first, but are working to ensure they're not the last. As we gather for the 9th edition of the Forbes India W-Power, we also want to acknowledge the partners who have joined us in celebrating this platform. A sincere thank you to our associate partners, House of Glenfiddich and Reliance Industries.
Every year, this list comes out with an effort that is one of the most rigorous editorial exercises. This is what we call the W-Power list. It begins with months of research. Sometimes we work through the year. We have conversations, and we prepare a long list of around 100 names. Our editorial team that narrows that down to around 60, which then goes to an external jury. This year, we had an eminent 5-member jury. There was fashion designer Anamika Khanna, Devjani Ghosh of Niti Aayog, art collector and philanthropist Kiran Nadar, Sakshi Chopra of Peak 15, and Sonia Dasgupta of JM Financial.
But here, yes, they deserve a round of applause for sure. But you know, here is what makes this list very different. This is not a list of inherited privilege or institutional appointment. Every woman on the W-Power list is self-made, built from scratch through grit, through vision, and through the kind of persistence that doesn't make it into their highlight reels. The jury looked across sectors from entrepreneurship and technology to entertainment, fashion, and beyond. The lens was not just success, but impact. Not just where these women have reached, but the paths they are creating for others to follow.
Tonight, we celebrate these remarkable women and the possibilities they've created for everyone who comes after them. With that, we move to our first conversation of the evening, one that is close to our heart and honestly very close to our wardrobes.
Absolutely.
India has always exported culture through cinema, food, music, and storytelling. But fashion may be the most visceral form of it, the one you wear on your body.
And right now, the world is paying attention to India in a way it never quite has before. The devil is not only wearing Prada, but it's also wearing Kolhapuri chappals.
Tonight, we ask 2 women who have been at the center of this shift how fashion is becoming one of India's most powerful soft power tools, and what it means to be building it from the inside. May I please invite Pankti Mehta Kadakia to the stage. And the guests for this session, please put your hands together for Masaba Gupta, fashion designer and founder, House of Masaba. Please also put your hands together for Naita Shroff-Adjania, stylist, entrepreneur, and creative director. Pankti, over to you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you both so much for being here. I feel like this conversation couldn't have come at a better time. It's been the month of red carpets, from the Met Gala to Cannes. It's been all over our Instagram feeds, all over, on top of our heads as well. And it wasn't like this a few years ago. So I'm really happy to have you both here with me today, because both of you have been instrumental in creating Indian fashion that celebrates its heritage in a way that's inventive and cool, but also respectful to where it comes from. Today we're talking about India moving the needle in world fashion, and both of you have been at the center of this journey. I want to start with asking that when you hear the phrase soft power, or when you think about India's power with respect to fashion, what role would you say fashion plays as opposed to film, food, or music? We can start with you, Anita.
Okay, hi everyone. So I think with fashion, because it's so visible, it's immediate. Also, it's the best, right? Let's be clear. I mean, of course, there is film, there is food, there is literature. There's so much in the arts that comes from India, but fashion is the most visible. You don't need any translation. What you see is what you're absorbing, what you're feeling, and we come from such a rich heritage of, craft, textile, a point of view. We are storytellers by nature. So I think when we hit international red carpets or events, our soft power is not very soft. It's quite hard-hitting, I think.
I have to second what Anita said, and I think that she's obviously at the forefront of some of the most mega moments across the world. But the way I see it is that I think India's finally realized that we can be inspired by ourselves. You know, I think that the world, the West, has always taken a lot of inspiration from India. And I think you've seen renditions and versions all the way from Chanel, Karl Lagerfeld's Chanel, to you name it. There has been India in pretty much every major design house's storytelling at some point in their career. And I think India is suddenly waking up to the idea that, hey, if everyone else has eyes on us, why can't we have eyes on ourselves? And I think she's right. We are a treasure chest of inspiration, of storytelling, and craft. I think, be it the sari, I always go back to that as being at the center of innovation. You know, we look at the West and we say someone created something or the other, but I think we always forget we created the sari, which can be worn in 100,000 different ways. And it's global, as well as Indian, very, very rooted in India. But I think what's happening, the shift that I see is that India has picked up the confidence that the West always had in it. And, you know, I'll tell you, when I was showing at Art Basel in December, I was surprised myself when I was asked to do a showcase in Miami. And I think the inspiration, the whole theme for that year was art from the eye of India. And I thought that that was so interesting because we are the land of color and of so much more that the world has just constantly picked up. So to me, I was surprised that they thought of me for this, because I've also been doing a very different type of fashion for so many years, and I don't consider myself a couturier as such, but to be able to create that 20-piece capsule, I remember thinking I was so free in my inspiration because I was looking at India. You know, and I wasn't trying to make it local, or I wasn't going to Miami with a watered-down version of India. I was going with India on my sleeve. So I think that's the shift. India has suddenly opened its own eyes to everything that it has to offer.
Yeah, and we'll come to more about the world taking inspiration from India in a bit. But as you said, we've always had the craft. We've had the luxurious textiles, the silhouettes. But fashion in India was fairly straight-laced for a while, and I feel like, Masaba, you had a big role in making it fun and playful, and you put in, you know, all these prints and motifs that weren't traditionally associated with Indian fashion. So what was that journey like?
I think for me it was very clear that when I was literally an usher at Fashion Week, I would see show after show. And I remember thinking how limiting that people feel India is only about wedding wear. Or Indian fashion is only about dressing up the bride and the groom and the family. And while that's a big part, and I think it's the bread and butter of most design houses in India today, we shouldn't neglect that. But I feel that there was an other India that I saw was not being catered to. And this was 2009 when I made my debut in fashion. And I said, what if we did ready to wear for India, but in a very, very not so ethnic way, but almost like a fusion global way. And I think fusion that was the first time I used the word fusion. You know, you typically don't, you're like, when did I use that first? And it was then that I said, what if we did the ease of silhouettes that you can wear every day, but with some craft. And I did a lot of ikat back then. In fact, the start of my career was ikat. There was a lot of embroidery. There was a lot of just generally going and finding a lot of textiles across India and using them in my work. And then I think I just got corrupted to find things that are easier and faster to do. But I do think that for me, it was just simply filling a gap that I saw very clearly existed. I didn't want to be one of the many people doing bridal in the way that it was done back then. And I thought that people in India deserved to wear more than just, at the time, there was just the Bibas and the Ws of the world that were giving you the A-line kurti with leggings. That was Indian fashion. I don't think anyone even remembers this, but that was Indian fashion. Then came the anarkali, and then came so many other things. So I think in many ways, I felt that I needed to bring the fun in fashion, in Indian fashion, every day. And that was the whole thought, really.
Another relatively new phenomenon we're seeing in India is that the leading business women of India are recognizing the power of fashion on global stages, including Isha Ambani, Natasha Poonawalla, Ananya Birla. So how would you say, Anaita, this changes the game as opposed to just having celebrities?
Fortunately for me, I work with the first two a lot. And I think these are women who are very serious about what they support. And I feel they've been supporting the arts and fashion over years before it became trendy to be attending, say, a Met Gala or the Oscars or whatever. They are pioneers for the right reasons, in the sense they are also people who are changing the entire ecosystem. We work with designers very closely. They work with stylists. They're preserving craft. It's not just about that one moment. This is something that's going to go into history books. And I admire them for having the courage to put themselves out there while running their huge businesses. And also having a point of view. I think it's very important to let designers dream, let people like me literally fly high and do whatever we want. I mean, a mango on a red carpet, come on, guys, So I feel it's really more power to them. And I think what we don't realize is this whole ecosystem that's developing, because when you see someone like them as iconic as they are wearing something, the trickle down is obvious, it's huge, the industry grows, there's more eyeballs on our craft, there's more eyeballs on our other designers, and it just snowballs into something bigger. So I think for the fashion industry, it's incredible.
Yeah, and as you said, a lot of these women have made active investments in Indian fashion, and yours is one of the labels that has benefited from that. And corporate investment in Indian fashion is fairly nascent still. What would you say it's changed for the industry since that wave of investments has come in?
I keep saying that it's like putting your dream on wheels when you tie up with a corporate. Majority of House of Masaba was acquired by the Aditya Birla Group in 2022. And 4 years down the line, I think in every single aspect that a creative individual like me, and I always considered myself a product person first and then an entrepreneur, I just think the value add is immense. I don't think I can even pin down to one specific area, but I think be it strategic thinking, be it recruiting the right team, or rather recruiting and building a team that you feel will support not just the now, but the future of the business. And also building a plan where you can be agile enough, because not just because of the capital that you have, but because of the number of heads that are applying their minds to your business. And I always believe that, when you're a creative person first, you should let somebody else do the business, right? And for me, it was very clear, because I think I raised money for the first time in 2018 with a bunch of independent investors. And prior to that, the first time I had a stint with corporate and creative sort of marrying was Satyapal. So when I was creative head of Satyapal from 2012 to 2014, and I worked with Sanjay Kapoor at Genesis, I saw the power that that marriage can bring. But like all marriages, one has to come halfway and also be willing to let go of that certain creative control that you feel you always need to hold on to, because I think the picture is much larger. And I think today, because of the number of platforms you have, it's not very hard to start a brand. It's not very hard to be visible. But I think to be able to make an impact is very hard, and which is why you need people like these who actually have their feet in different places and they can really add value in so many different ways. So if I talk about the Aditya Birla Group per se, you think of the collective and you think of the Pantaloons ecosystem and you think of Galleries Lafayette, which has just come into the country. So there's so many different places where you can just dip into that pool of talent. You can pick brains of people from everyone from Reebok to Madura Garments to you name it, and it some way it adds value to your business. So I think it is the only way for brands in the future to scale, but that depends on your appetite to scale also.
Sure. And Anita, you've also worked with some of the world's leading couture houses to create custom saris and Indian silhouettes. How do you think the perception has changed about India since when you started?
I think like earlier, it was more like we were a sourcing hub. They came here to do the embroidery. They still do, which is amazing for our industry. But I feel there is an intrigue. People are way more informed. A lot of creative directors travel to India on just eye-opening research trips to understand what we're all about. And I think they're taking us very seriously. When I approach them for a collaboration with, like, say, a beautiful Indian textile from Swadesh or from a weaver directly like we just did, there's completely open-mindedness, excitement, and I feel very lucky, firstly, to be working with the best in the business, whether it's in India or abroad. For me, it's all the same. I truly believe that we have some of the best talent here, and especially also when you were talking about Pret. I feel the biggest misconception globally is that people think we only do wedding wear and dressy clothes, but we have the most incredible Pret designers. I mean, when I travel and I'm usually wearing Indian designers, I'm always stopped and asked, where did you get this? Who makes it? People write down, So I feel that narrative has changed. It's very appreciative, and I'm very proud to be a small part of the system, because even editorially before, I always made sure I mixed global fashion and Indian fashion seamlessly, because that's how I believe most of us dress. We're not all wearing one designer head to toe. We can't afford that. So to give people that opportunity, that vision, which was like, hey, you might have one, designer jacket, but here's another cool Pret brand to mix with it. So I'm very happy to see it actually being appreciated everywhere.
And where this question's for both of you, but where do you draw the line between inspiration and cultural appropriation, as we've seen a lot of controversy over the past year?
Well, I think the difference is actually between appreciation and appropriation. They're two very different things. Like, you can come here and say, oh, wow, your slippers are beautiful. I don't have to copy them and make them. But if I do, I need to make sure I'm contributing back to that, collective, that craft. They also earn from their craft heritage. And you work together. It's more collaborative. I think that's the way I see it. But appreciation is welcome.
And now that we've established that India, is on the global map, it is on every red carpet that's worth being on, how do you think this benefits India? How can we harness this power further?
I think so many ways. I think that, like you said, the platform exists today. I don't think you need a large workforce, manpower to really put things together. I think also sourcing product, raw material, everything has just become simpler, Back in the day, you really had to do a lot of work, a lot of R&D before you even launched a collection. I mean, just simple example, the cycle of fashion was that you did about 2 collections a year, and you hit the runway, and then maybe 6 months later, it hit stores. Today, we're doing, I don't even know how many collections we do, and it's almost instant. It's like you create the product, okay, it's good to go, you shoot it, it's on the shop floor or it's online. So I think with how D2C has emerged as a major, major area, I do think that people should use this time. I think it's the best time to be an entrepreneur, if you ask me, and kickstart something that you've been meaning to. But I also think that there's a lot of noise, and the internet needs to chill out a little bit as well. I do think so, because I think that there's so much noise, there's so much uproar about small things. I think that one needs to find meaning behind a viral moment. So you're viral for 48 hours or 72 hours, and then what? So I think to find longevity is going to be very, very hard, but also very simple, if you know what I mean. But I think that one has to think of a plan that is fluid enough to change, I'm saying within days, not even weeks, because that's the world we're living in today.
I mean, I just want to add something there. I think the power, your original question about the red carpet is immense because it's global, it goes everywhere. But there can also be a downside to it. Like, I feel we really can this time. Like, what is even going on? So sometimes too much is too much.
Glad you said it and not us.
No, we were discussing it actually earlier, but Masaba's being sweet. I choose not to be because I for the first time in my life, I felt a bit embarrassed. I just felt like, what's going on, right? I mean, like, where is our beautiful culture, heritage? And also, again, I don't feel everybody needs to look like they're wearing Indian clothes, obviously, from head to toe. I mean, look at what our designers are doing globally. They're on the biggest stars in the world in music videos, at red carpet events. It's not shouting India, India, but it is Indian. And that's what's important.
Yeah, sorry, I've been told we're running out of time, but just quick closing comments. What's myth about Indian fashion that you wish the world would stop believing?
Just to pick up on what Anahita said, I think we're not just a costume party. We're not. We're beyond that. And I think everything does not have to be a movement. You know, go where you're celebrated, and you can be in a simple t-shirt and jeans, but everything does not have to be a whole look. You know, as Kareena says, thak gaye, really thak gaye. So just let's relax. Let's sit at home for a change and gather our thoughts. And I think we need to really see India for what it is beyond the idea of being a costume party. It's not that.
I agree. I feel context is way more important than costume. And yeah, I feel there are no limits for us. We're very fortunate to be in a world where, like I said, everyone is equally talented. The world is one place. And I mean, just shine bright, dream big. There's nothing stopping you.
Perfect. I think that's about all the time we have, but thank you so much for being with us today.
What a conversation. Thank you so much, Masaba, Anaita, and Pankti, for reminding us that true influence begins with authenticity.
Now, let's get started with honoring the self-made women achievers of 2026. Please welcome to the stage Sonia Das Gupta, MD and CEO, Investment Banking at JM Financial, to help us with the honors. The Forbes India W-Power icon of excellence recognizes a woman whose influence extends far beyond a single industry. Someone whose work has consistently redefined creativity and entrepreneurship.
Our first icon of excellence honoree this evening is a prominent name in the world of fashion, but to call her a fashion designer would be reductive. Masaba Gupta is a creator, entrepreneur, a storyteller, and a brand builder. A woman who can prove that you can put a fried egg on her sari and make it feel like the most natural thing in the world. She had an iconic collab with the Game of Thrones, and in Game of Thrones, as all of you might know, Daenerys Targaryen walked into fire and came out a queen. Masaba walked into one of the most unforgiving industries in the world and came out owning it. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the Khaleesi of Prince, Masaba Gupta. Congratulations, Masaba. Let's meet our first set of listees now. E-commerce, streaming, luxury retail, the creator economy. Most executives navigate one industry transformation in a career. Gunjan Soni navigated 4 and led companies through each of them. Today, she leads one of India's most influential digital platforms, a platform where delightfully odd ideas and voices from every corner of India can find an audience and build communities of their own. Please welcome Gunjan Soni, Country Managing Director, YouTube India. Gunjan. Congratulations, Gunjan.
Our next winner started out writing dialogues and screenplays, a complete outsider to the industry's traditional power structures. From Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani to 4 More Shots Please, Call Me Babe, and Single Papa, she has built a body of work that is sharp, emotionally resonant, and deeply reflective of contemporary audiences. She also won 3 Filmfares in one single year. Please welcome to the stage Ishita Moitra, writer and producer.
Congratulations, Ishita. Dr. Sonali Ghosh came to the Kaziranga National Park as a trainee. Today, she's a field director and has spent a career in between fighting poaching and leading ecological research. Please give a big round of applause for Dr. Sonali Ghosh, field director, Kaziranga National Park. Congratulations, Dr. Ghosh.
Moving on to our next honoree of the night. Before her, styling wasn't really considered a profession in India. Bollywood only had costume designers. She's behind some of the most iconic looks we've seen on screen, on magazine covers, and across popular culture. In doing all of this, she opened a door that thousands of young creatives have since walked through. A stylist, creative director, entrepreneur, and one of India's most influential stylists. Please welcome Anaita Shroffet-Jania. Congratulations, Anita.
She learned the English alphabet in the 5th standard, went to government schools, completed her CA in 1989, the first from her college to do so, and went on to become the first woman among global peers to head a stock exchange. Please welcome Kamala Kantharaj, Chief Regulatory Officer, Bombay Stock Exchange. Congratulations, Kamala ji. A huge congratulations once again to all our listees, and thank you so much, Ms. Das Gupta, for joining us as well.
Startups were, for the longest time, a male-dominated space. And in many ways, they continue to be. But that is changing. And some of the women driving that change are in this very room tonight. Falguni Nair of Nykaa, Meghna Agarwal of IndieCube, Aditi Duggar, who built Mask into one of India's finest restaurants, and many more. The women who have broken through have built their companies and their credibility at the same time. May I please request Suveen Sinha, editor of Forbes India, to join us on stage to take this conversation ahead with two founders who have done exactly that in spaces as different as neuroscience and fintech. Liana Emanuel, founder and CEO, Brainsight AI, and Kavita Subramanian, co-founder of Upstocks.
Over to you, Suveen.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you, the Sutradhars. You're doing a great job, Naini and Himani. Okay, right, it's great to have you here, Laina and Kavita. I'm going to start with a riddle, and I must say that this is not my riddle. It came from Kavita. So the situation is this, that there is a car accident, and there's a father and son which is hurt in that accident, and they are taken to a hospital where surgery is required. Then the surgeon comes into the room and says, I cannot do this operation because this child is my son. Now, how is that possible? Father and son are in an accident. The surgeon is saying, this child is my son. How is this happening? It is the mother. But it has been proved that 90% of the people do not give this answer. They cannot understand that the surgeon can be a woman. Okay? But here we are in a hall full of people, and two of them on the stage, which are proving how wrong thinking can be. And, both of you have... It's going on and off. Okay, we'll make do. Okay, no, it's fine. I think it's working now, yeah. Yeah, so you have, both of you, through your studies and through your careers, have risen through negotiating many of these ways of thinking. What was it like, if I can begin with... Is this better? Okay. Right. Kavita, if I could begin with you, as I learned yesterday, you were in an IIT class the only woman, okay, and you topped the class, okay? She was not the topper among women, because that she would have been even if she scored a 0. Only woman. She beat all the men. Laina, 1 out of 8 women in a class of 60, right? So that is the kind of funnel we have had, where, at the broader end of the funnel, so few women coming through to the engineering and STEM streams. So one is the supply thing. One is all these, surgeon cannot be a woman, that kind of thinking. What kind of things did you negotiate, and how did you negotiate them?
So firstly, I would say that, and I remember this day very vividly. It was my first day at IIT. I was obviously super excited. And I walk into my classroom and nerds, so I sat on the first desk. And the class is filling in. It's about 150 students. And it is boy after boy after boy. After a while, I just thought, oh my God, I'm in the wrong class. So I got up, I left to check, and I came back and saying, oh my God, this is it. This is my class, right? But more importantly, until I reached there, nobody told me that I was not supposed to be there. And I think massive kudos to my mom. She's here. I have 3 older sisters, and I'm the 4th daughter in my house. And growing up, my mother was someone who really valued education, as most of India. She was herself a topper gold medalist. But, in those days, my grandparents didn't allow her to study. And so she decided to break that cycle. She decided that her 4 daughters are going to study no matter what, right? And as you can imagine, when I was born, there was enough angst in the community. Obviously, I failed the day I was born at my job. But my mom stood like a pillar there and said, my daughters will study. And so I didn't know until I was in that room that, oh my God, was I not supposed to be there? And I think that is very powerful.
Right. Break the cycle, you said, which seems to be like, you should make it a campaign slogan, break the cycle. So, Laina, when you were, coming up, Kavita also felt this, and you also must have felt that pressure to be one of the boys. The tech industry especially, and both of you chose, even in tech, the difficult industries. Brokerage, AI, that too brain AI, right? Did you feel the pressure to be one of the boys, somehow fit in, follow the rules that is for a world created by men for other men? What was that pressure like?
Absolutely. First of all, also thank you for having me here. Thank you. It was certainly, I think when you are, as Kavita said, you don't realize that you have a barrier till you get into like an engineering college, or you get out into like a software tech world, and you're suddenly like, oh my God, there are just way too many boys here. And you need to then navigate. And certainly there is a pressure to do things that men do very easily, right? They get together over a smoke, they get together over a drink, they all sit down together, they shoot the breeze, they do all of these things which are not traditionally available, or you need to kind of build yourself up to it for sure. And I think that pressure was there certainly for me as well. And yeah, of course, and now we are here.
Okay, so Kavita's mother is here, so we will minimize the alcohol talk. And we will block this telecast for your mother. But there was that pressure, right? Take to alcohol, talk rubbish, and just fit in.
Yes, I think there is a pressure to be in men's spaces, where you need to act more like a man, for sure. Or the alternative, which would have been nicer, is to create women's spaces which are much more conducive to the way women talk to each other and the way women interact with each other. I don't think that has been a priority ever.
Yes. So both of you, funding was an important factor to grow the business. I learned from Laina, Kavita, that she spoke to 200 potential investors before she got the first one to agree. 200, not figuratively. In your case also, it was a very high number until I think Vani Kola of Kalari invested. Then, of course, you got the big man, Ratan Tata, who invested. What was the entire fundraising experience like? Did you feel that your presence was a factor there?
To be honest, fundraising, startup, it is such a game of dice. And, the odds are stacked against every entrepreneur. And I'll be really, really hard-pressed to say that gender had a place there, to be honest. I know that every VC, and this is a question best asked to the VCs, to be honest.
Yes.
But I know the VCs are doing their best. They're trying to just get the best ROI. And there's industries, then there's companies and founders and so on, and there's a whole echelon.
Yes.
And so I would be really hard-pressed to say in that massive game of dice, was gender really a factor? And I don't know, you might have a different experience.
Similar, I mean, I think you said it well. I think at that time you never realized that the odds are maybe stacked against you. But I think if you look at the larger statistics, and that's when you possibly realize it, that only 4% of the funding goes to women founders. And hence, in the moment, you probably don't realize that the dice is loaded against you because it's loaded against all the entrepreneurs in the room. But overall, you then do realize it, yes.
Right. And I think part of the reason why people think or perceive women in a certain way is that women do not necessarily have a linear career where they start here and go here. They can't step back to do other things which are also big priorities. But that can be addressed if we have enough role models, right? And we are having more and more role models, women role models now. How important is that, and do you see that cycle breaking because of the role, and this hall is full of role models today. How critical is that?
No, I think the first important aspect was sort of having more women coming through the funnel, right? Like through the education funnel and so on. Once you're past that, I would say the second most important thing is to feel normal. This is not like, oh my God, you're trying to break a massive barrier by being the only woman. I feel like there was a time when being the only woman this and the only woman that was a source of pride, and I don't think it is any longer. We want to see a world where it is extremely normal. So for me, growing up, knowing that there is an Indranui out there, or even like India is full of, especially in finance, full of massive role models, right? Our FM is a woman, for example.
Yes.
Naina Lal Kidwai, you can keep going, right? And for me, closer home, I think one of the most critical things was women who normalized this for me. Like I have 3 older sisters, and all of them in very thriving careers, also with kids each, and they made it seem very normal. I had that one moment, post my 2 kids being born, when I was thinking, saying, oh my God, am I giving them time? And, all the mom guilt. But because they made it so normal, and because there's so many women around me who have balanced both beautifully, I just felt like, what, this is something we just got to do. So that just became
True on that one. But I'll also go back to the question of the linear careers, right?
Yes.
Like I think for a vast majority of women, their careers don't go linearly. And what happens is if that is not normalized, if you are not allowed to take gap years, you're not allowed to come back to a career which you think is exciting enough, right? You will at some point lose out. And if that is not, I do believe that there is that we need to normalize that kind of taking gap years, figuring out your life, coming back. If you normalize that for everybody, then having children, going for like taking a break just because your child is growing, all of those will not be a problem at all.
Okay. Yes, of course.
I really want to add, Suveen, that Forbes, by making lists like these, by having award functions like these, you're really, really helping in creating those role models. It might seem like a small thing, or it might seem like, oh my God, why do we have a women's list? But I know that growing up, knowing that there are these women out there made a huge difference. So thank you. The kind of work you guys are doing is definitely helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. That is just great. Thank you very much. Time does fly when you are having a great conversation, okay? Hours has flown away. But thank you both very much. We will continue this conversation offline in the days to come.
Can I just take a second?
Yes, of
I just
course.
want to say one thing in closing
Yes.
is, there are many biases that have preceded us. And if we can all just break the cycle of biases that have preceded us and not allow them to continue to the next generation, we've done well. Like my mother-in-law is also here, and she grew up in a tiny village. And, very traditional background. But when it came to me, she was very clear, no, you're going to work. You're going to run up stocks. That's it. Same like my mom. Same like so many other women preceding me who helped me do this and broke the cycle. And I think that's my wish for everybody here. We may have had biases in the past, but can we break the cycle?
Break the cycle. Thank you very much. It was great, yeah?
Thank you so much, Suveen. May we please request Soumya Soumya Suryanarayan to please come on stage for the next set of awards. Yes, yes. So how is everyone doing? I hope you guys are having a good time. Yeah, can we please have a big round of applause? By the way, yes, thank you all. By the way, as I understand, Soumya is one of our past winners as well. So Soumya, I mean, is there anything that you would like to say, you know, you being one of our Forbes India W-Power, winners, what is the kind of impact that it's had on your life? And I know it's on top of your LinkedIn profile. We checked yesterday. If you can probably, tell us a bit about that.
First of all, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to be here. And one thing is, of course, you're winning the award. It's like a super, super honor. But to be presenting the award is at a different level. So thank you, Forbes, for inviting me. And this is the second year I'm here after, I think I won in 2024.
Yes.
I was part of the list. But
Yeah.
being here again is absolute delight. And I carry it as an honor of badge, right? Everywhere I go. The community of women, some of them I'm still in touch with. It's amazing to work with them, to be in touch, to exchange notes. I mean, it's inspiring, to be very honest. So I love the community, and great job to Forbes and the team for doing this. So
Thank you so much. Thanks, Soumya. Moving on, Soumya, we'll request you to please be here. We will start with our next set of awards. Most people know her as the woman steering OpenAI strategy and global affairs in India. Fewer know that she was a top 3 ranked amateur golfer who represented India internationally for nearly a decade. And fewer still know that she is a meditation trainer and hosts her own podcast. Give it up for Pragya Mishra, Head of Strategy and Global Affairs, OpenAI. Yeah, I think we should keep clapping. Thank you. Yes. Big congratulations, Pragya. Thank you.
Our next honoree was a state-level kabaddi player. Then she spent years doing what most actors do, showing up, taking the roles, building the craft quietly. And then came All We Imagine as Light, Payal Kapadia's film that traveled to Cannes and introduced Chaya Kadam to the world in a way she always deserved. Critically acclaimed, deeply versatile, and proof that the best careers are built in patience. Please welcome on stage Chaya Kadam.
Congratulations, Chaya.
Moving on, our next honoree is a partner at Lightspeed. She shaped the product at Ola. And it all started with a 7th grader walking up to a coding teacher, someone who only taught adults and refusing to take no for an answer. He said she was too young. She said, give me a few weeks. He did, and she delivered. Please put your hands together for Harsha Kumar, partner Lightspeed.
Congratulations, Harsha. The next honoree calls herself a daughter of the river Brahmaputra. She grew up in Assam, surrounded by wetlands, paddy fields, and birds, and never quite left that world behind. Today, she has brought the great adjunct stock back from the brink of extinction. Please put your hands together for Dr. Purnima Devi Burman. Congratulations, Dr. Burman. With this, we have come to the end of this set of felicitations. Congratulations to all the winners, and thank you so much, Soumya, for joining us. We now move on to our next session. This is a conversation that sits right at the intersection of public health, lived experience, and the business of building access where it has long been missing. It's about what happens when women's health is treated not as a niche, but as a priority worth clinical focus and serious capital.
To moderate this discussion, please welcome Nasreen Sultana to the stage. And joining her are two women bringing very different but equally powerful perspectives to this conversation. Dr. Manika Khanna, founder, CEO, and chairperson, Gaudium IVF, and Sonia Dasgupta, CEO, JM Financial Investment Banking. Nasreen, over to you.
Is my mic working? Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Forbes India W-Power 2026. Am I not audible? Hello? Hello? Is it audible? Yeah. So before I begin, I must share that this session is especially meaningful for me as I've recently delivered my first child. And stepping back, I am right into the middle of a conversation talking about women's health, fertility, and women's health innovation. So I think this is a very important topic for the capital markets also. And in this conversation, we will try to explore how India's capital markets can actually help normalize fertility care in India and pave the way for the broader acceptance of women's health care. And to discuss this and take the conversation further, I'm thrilled to welcome my very two eminent panelists, Manika Khanna, who's the chairperson and founder of Gaudium IBF, and Sonia Dasgupta. She is the MD and CEO of investment banking at JM Financials. So welcome on the panel. And I'll start with Sonia first. Gaudium IVF, of course, was path-breaking when it came to the capital markets. How did the capital markets see fertility care as a sector?
So first of all, thank you, Nishreen, and hearty congratulations on your baby. It's lovely to be here among such high-achieving women, and we've had some wonderful, excellent panelists before us. So, Manika, we have very high standards to keep up to. First of all, I think we are unfortunately starting it at the wrong end. We should be first starting it from the entrepreneur who has actually made a capital market debut. And I think we all owe her a loud round of applause.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because Gaudium is only the 4th listed company in the world which has done IVF. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And the first in India. Unfortunately, the capital markets and everything I do is very boring, not at all glamorous. And it only goes by numbers, the growth, the returns. So it's pretty, unbiased in terms of what they like. So any business that shows sustainable growth with good margins and good return on capital is something that investors will rush to. And I think ART, as it's called, assisted reproductive technology, is one of the fields, just given the sheer mass and demand pull, because of demographics, women getting educated, and therefore wanting to choose, having assisted reproductive into their lives. And of course, the stresses of modern day life, which is bringing to fore science and technology being used for something which has had its origins from the days of Ramayana and Mahabharata, of infertility, right? There you had some sage who gave them some fruit, which ultimately was all ART, right?
Sperm donation.
So I think it's very good that we are bringing such topics to the fore and normalizing a lot of things that science can cure. And of course, there are many benefits of investors jumping in, wherein you have ability to scale things, have better scaled infrastructure, more safety, more ethical practices that will get into regulation. So I think it's a win-win having more such platforms where IVF actually transcends into more like a women's healthcare infrastructure play. And makes good sense for the investors as well as for the end consumer.
Right. So I'll come to Dr. Khanna now. And what kind of signals do you think your IPO had sent to investors about women health innovation? Because of course it was first of its kind. It was difficult for the market to understand your business. But what kind of signals it sent to the investors?
Well, initially when I started talking, it was so new for them that, some of them kind of brushed it off, that whether, we will be able to successfully go public. But then we met people, luckily for me, I met investors who had vision, who could see what this industry is all about. And yes, we made it just a day before the war broke out. On the 27th of February, we successfully listed. And I would say that the markets have really welcomed us with open arms, because our stock was 50% up in the month of March. So I was like, even I couldn't understand what's happening. But yes, it's been an interesting journey. And there was so much curiosity, The good part is that when I started doing the road shows, and till we reached the listing moment, me and my team must have done 200 plus, TV and online and articles. So imagine the kind of, awareness about the industry that went forward. People realized that what a hub and spoke model is, how an asset-light, IVF is an asset-light industry, how you can scale it up. And it has come at a time when our country, for the first time, the fertility rate has dropped down below the replacement level. So 15 to 20% of 1.5 billion of us are infertile. Can you imagine? And right now, only 2% of that is coming forward for treatment. So 98% is an untapped market. Needs awareness, needs access, and that is how capital markets help us. Because when capital markets put in the funds, we are able to scale it up rapidly, maintaining the global level care, so we don't compromise, and of course in a very regulated and ethical manner. I think the women of our country deserve it. And, my favorite line is that everyone deserves a one of their own. How does it matter that we are the most populous nation in the world? जिसका बेबी नहीं है, उसके लिए नहीं है, वो एक बहुत ज़रूरी है. So, yeah, this is...
So there's a lot of social stigma also with assisted reproduction or with fertility care. My question to both of you actually, do you think if listing of a fertility care center or a fertility business really kind of helps to remove this kind of social stigma and build more scale in the business, because you have got institutional money flowing in now and things will get more organized?
Definitely, I think maybe we live in a very different part of the country than the rest of the country, because you know, all the next gen in the places that I work, in my own family, all the millennial girls, you know, when I hear them talk, the first thing they are talking is freeze your eggs. Okay. Sure. And I think that's very powerful, right? When a woman, you know, doesn't have this psychological stress that my, you know, biological clock is ticking, and can choose to delay having a child, I think that's wonderful. And you know, if the more such companies tap the capital markets, the more there is dissemination of this information and normalization of, you know, doing this. Of course, I'm saying if it, the flip side is if it, people, you know, the listed companies go overboard and in the quest for, you know, getting better pricing, do unethical practices, that's the only thing we need to guard against. But I think, like Manika was saying, we are far away from that, right? If we still have so much under penetration. So I think education of best use of ART in a safe and ethical manner is the need of the hour. And I think it's very important to normalize this. And, you know, all of us, including the media, has a great role to play here.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would just add that, like she talked about egg freezing, I call it reproductive freedom. So, you know, we were talking about that in a journey we have to take a break. What I say to young girls is you don't need to. Just preserve your fertility at the right time, and it gives you reproductive freedom. You can choose to become mothers at a convenient time, you know, because we go through college and then we go through our early career stages, and that's the time you're supposed to also be bearing children. So those two times clash, and if we fall out at that time, then it's difficult for us to scale the ladder. Those are the odds stacked against us. Like when you were saying, my daughter is doing space engineering in US, and she's the only girl in the class, and the boys hang out at night, and, you know, it's like kind of difficult. So yes, we still have barriers to break. But I would say that, you know, what Forbes is doing with this W-Power is, these are things, you know, which are kind of liberating. Because we see this list and we know that many more girls can become this. And also, I feel that we women who have the capability should also create an atmosphere for other women. So for example, we employ 90% of our staff is women across all 36 locations of Gaudium. So yeah, the stigma is decreasing significantly. There were days, you know, in the clinic when, in 2009, when I started 17 years back, so a couple would walk in and you would tell the husband that you also have to be tested, and he would say, I'm completely fine, why do I need to be tested? So from those days, at least we've come to days when a couple walks in, most of the men do know that, you know, they contribute 50% to the infertility. And entering the capital markets, you know, within 2 months, we've got so much exposure to talk about it. So I think it will definitely have an impact.
Is it more accepted now, or?
Yes, it is more accepted now. And, you know, as she said, it is the 4th company in the world to be listed. So some of the companies like Monash IVF, they've built an empire out of it post-listing. So I think you normalize it more. You make it like, you know, the couple approaching for infertility will feel less hesitant, because the more it is talked about in media, the more normal it becomes. Celebrities, when they use it and they talk about it, it's great. Because, you know, the woman sitting alone who is dreaming to be a mother then feels that, yes, why not? I can also go and approach a clinic and get it done.
Let's talk about regulation now, and that's very important when we talk about assisted reproduction. And what, according to you, will government support and regulatory support really help building our investor confidence and a patient's confidence in the sector? And this question is to both of you, because you're dealing with investor and you're also dealing with patients.
Very true. So regulation is very, very important, and especially in building investor confidence, because as Sonia correctly said, you know, that there are a lot of players where unethical things are being done, and that, you know, that is something investors don't like. They don't want to risk it where you're not following regulations. So the most welcome thing happened in 2022 when the ART bill was introduced. Before 2022, this was an unregulated industry. And now, as the government is in the process of implementing it, it's in various stages of implementation across different states. But when implemented completely, it will help ensure that global level standardized care is available and nobody is cheated, you know. So, and secondly, if the government can also create an atmosphere that insurance companies should come forward and cover this, it'll be great. Because, you know, if your fertility rate is coming below the replacement level, we don't want to wake up as late as Japan, where they're now incentivizing to have babies. So I think it's a wake-up call that we wake up in time and
What about investor confidence in this?
So I think investor confidence will always be in this, according to me, will be hinged on ethical practices, right? Because you don't want to invest in a company which is doing the wrong things or doing the right things in the wrong way. And this, like anything to do with healthcare or pharma, is something which is life-threatening, right? So they are extremely, extremely careful about where they are investing. And I think the regulations help make it easy to have the guardrails of transparency, of data disclosures, of how success is measured, how it's disseminated. And I think more important than the investor is actually the patients, or that there is safety, and because for the investors what is more important is the scalability, right? So like in anything to do with healthcare, trust is the most important. And it's very important that a few bad players don't derail a fabulous opportunity and platform which actually gives women so much power in their lives. And I think to your earlier questions and pulling some points from the earlier panelists, I think it's up to all of us to break that cycle of stigma and educate everyone that touches our lives, not only in our strata, but also, we have support staff and, other people, normalizing it also for them, that it's okay, and educating people that, and especially for that strata of society, having things which are well regulated is very essential for their safety.
You mentioned, Sonia, about the global pattern, and there are only few companies globally also in the IVF sector which have gone public. Is there any lesson that we can draw from that? And why do you think there are so less and fewer number of companies in this women healthcare sector or fertility sector, if we can really pinpoint there?
So I wouldn't know why there are such few globally, but I can tell you there are many in India now. And there are, the size of this was like $1 billion, and we are looking in the next 4-5 years for it to become $4 to $5 billion. There's a lot of private equity money chasing good franchises, and those franchises are scaling extremely well. I think it's the power and the pull of the demographic dividend that we have in India. that is being capitalized on. And I only hope and pray that there are no accidents along the way, and this gives a wonderful tool for us to make women's health front and center in the work that we do.
So Dr. Khanna, if I have to ask you, how do you think, or how many years will it take for women's health care or fertility care to become part of the mainstream or organized sector and really contribute to the economy?
Yeah, that's an excellent point you've made. So, so when we fly, they say, put the mask first onto yourself and then help the next person. So when you're enabling a woman's health, you are enabling an entire family's health. Because it has been in our tradition that women, our mothers, grandmothers, they kept neglecting which seemingly were smaller problems till they really became huge problems and come forward with them, taking care of the family. So prioritizing women's health is very important. It is important two ways. One, of course, you're doing a great job if you contribute to the women healthcare industry because you are uplifting half the population. So the healthier the population, the more stronger becomes the economy. And second, it is economically also a hugely scalable business because you're catering to half the population. So women health need to take priority center stage. It has already started. And even we, diversifying, we are already working on how important certain supplements are. So many Indian women, almost everyone is iron deficiency, vitamin D deficient. So, how these need to be replenished in time, how cancer need to be detected early. So all these issues, things have started, but I think it will take another 3-4 years till it becomes mainstream. And of course, we will try to contribute as much as we can.
What do you think, Sonia?
So I think women need to make health at every stage of their life front and center, right? And I think, and I always have told my team that you don't need to shy away from ever coming forth and speaking to your male bosses or even your female bosses, of course, it's easier, but even to your male bosses, if you have menstrual cramps and you can't work, or, because I do know some women really go through very difficult times during those times of the month. And I say it's completely fine. Because and I think I was on a panel last year and I said the same thing, that you will be surprised, and I have no disrespect to any men in the audience. It's, men come up to me in an important meeting and say, I want to go home when there's a deliverable. And I'm like, why? Because my wife has a headache, okay? And we all applaud it saying, oh wow, he's such a loving family man. Why can't women just come and say, I have a headache, I want to go home, right? Just normalize it. It's fine. I mean, men are doing it all the time. So you don't need to hide, the fact that you're not well, you have menstrual cramps, or, you are really feeling low or depressed. Because I know that, when I was much younger, I used to go through a lot of mood swings just before my, menstrual cycle. And I knew it's happening because of hormonal changes, but I just couldn't articulate it. And if I had to live my life again, I would walk up and say, I need to go home. And I think we as bosses, as women bosses, need to be more appreciative of that also. And I think we need to train our, the men in our lives to also be accommodative about these issues and normalize women's health, whether it's day to day, and of course the much bigger complications that doctor has just spoken about. Respect that and make it an issue that it's not an okay issue, or it's not a small issue. If someone is suffering with pain because of hormonal or anything, we need to give it the respect and the space they want, because I can bet you a woman is going to go home, and at least I have experienced in my team, who goes home saying she's got menstrual cramps and can't work anymore. She is going to get up at 1 in the night and see that something is incomplete, finish the work and be delivered to my desk before she comes. And I have seen that repeatedly. So kudos to the women who are so sincere in their work, right? And they are also driven, and therefore we need to give them some slack if they are suffering physically. Just because I may have not had menstrual cramps, I cannot tell as a woman bossing, kuch nahi hai, it's okay, learn to tolerate it. No, it's not okay. All of us as women bosses need to respect that every woman is different, her constitution is different, and need to give them that slack time to recover physically, mentally, and be the support that we would have liked in our younger age if we had gone through that.
Right. Like in our earlier panel, Kavita had mentioned about breaking the cycle. Probably is what you are recommending, that we should prioritize our health. Dr. Khanna, I want to come to you and want to know about what is the rural India stats here when we talk about assisted reproduction. Because urban, there's a lot of conversation. We write about those kind of facilities that is available. But rural India is somewhere not heard, or we are not aware of what's happening there.
Yeah. So you will be surprised to know that infertility is not a thing just of the metros or the tier 1, tier 2 cities. It is equally prevalent in tier 3, and almost 10% infertility is there down in our villages. And that is why I said that access matters. So the more hubs we open, and so what hubs are mainstream center where you have heavy infrastructure, and spokes are smaller centers where you can reach remote places. Like in Bihar, we are in Motihari and Darbhanga, and also villages have access there. So, this concept that it is not there in the villages is wrong. It is equally there.
But are they really opting for assisted reproduction?
They are. You will be surprised to know that they are well aware, thanks to the social media access and the digital access that our country has now. They are aware. In fact, once I walked into my Patna center on a regular visit, and there were some village women sitting. And the moment I walked, they started touching my feet, and I was like, what's happened? And they said, हम आपको Facebook पर देखे हैं बोलते हुए. It was so heartwarming, So this business of creating life is satisfaction at another level, When you have couples struggling for 23 years of marriage, they get a baby, and then they come for that photograph with you. No amount of anything can match that gratification. And as Sonia rightly pointed out, that women at all stages need to be supported. And I'm very proud that it starts right in your family. So my son is coming up with a startup where the entire focus is women health, adolescence, PCOS, period pains, and then pregnancy, and late to menopause as well. Menopause is highly under-talked about, and we all suffer and don't come out with it. So yeah, I think the seeds are grown. It starts right inside the family.
Right. Sonia, I want to know from you, do you think there is enough government support when we talk about innovation in fertility in women?
So I think right now the government has many other things which are more like getting, LPG gas to the relevant people. So yes, there's always more that the government can do at any stage, right? But I think a lot can be done by the private sector, okay? And there is, like I said, there is a lot of private capital waiting by the wings to invest. So I don't think there is a dearth of incentive from the private sector. But I think what the government, which is the role of only a government can play, is to ensure that, there is good regulation, there is good governance, so that there are no malpractices. I think that's a very important role. So while, the ART Act is there, we have to make sure that it is also enforced and there is good supervision, I think that's a role only a government can play. Like I said, anyone wants capital, come to JM, we'll get you the right capital. There's a lot of capital waiting in the wings for good entrepreneurs. But I think regulation and making sure that ethical practices are followed, there is safety, there is no malpractices being done, there is no misstatement, there are no false promises being made. I think those are very important things where we have to lean on the government to make sure it's done.
So beyond the IPO, and I'm going back to the IPO again because that's where the conversation started. Beyond the IPO, do you think there is enough money on the table to kind of broaden the investment in the women fertility business? And this question is to both of you.
Yes, as she pointed out, why many could not have made it was how strong is your organizational structure? How institutionalized are you? So if you are an SOP-driven organization, you are ensuring a patient-first policy. Your practices are transparent. The success rates you quote are the actual success rates. I think when the investors or the markets see that, they do not hesitate. They do not hesitate to give you the money. And that is why not just fertility care, my take is that the entire women health sector, a lot of investment can come in. We just have to create the right models for taking in that investment and then ensure that the right practices keep happening. Because, in ours is the business of life. So in life, you can't tinker with it. So that's very important. If you take care of that, I don't think there should be dearth of money supporting. But yes, you don't have to give up. And I started with an 800 square feet facility, all with just my savings, 17 years back. And some people laughed that how can an IVF be built in an 800 square feet facility. But yes, here we are. We are at 36 locations in the country today. So yeah.
So I think talking about life and making money out of it doesn't sound, it doesn't sound good. But unfortunately, I'm in the finance business and we always talk about returns and money. So I have to, since you're prodding me to go into the not very nice way of talking, because half my family is doctors and half is in finance. So, the finance people always look down on in the family functions. So, but I think women and childcare today, for those who don't know, is the hottest sector in hospital and healthcare, right? So if you pick up any medium which talks about the deals, the largest number of transactions that are happening in the hospital sector as single specialty is women and childcare. And again, to talk in a very business way jargon, and my apologies, it doesn't sound good, but once you have an IVF patient, you have a patient for life. Because then you then have them for the child, a gynac, pediatrician, you have for childcare, and then the sunset years of life, which is menopausal and thereafter. So you have a patient for life, and that's in business world, it's a great LTV, lifetime value of a patient that you catch or a customer that you catch. So I think there is no doubt that there is a lot of interest in this segment. And, large scale players like Vaudium, Indra IVF, we all know, and many others will soon be public. So, we will have investors who have invested in private equity and then getting a listing opportunity, exit, make returns, and recycle that again to the next set of private capital. So I think that's a great virtuous cycle we'll get into.
One funny thing I have to share. So when I was doing these road shows, it was about, you talked, your family as doctors and investment people. So bringing medicine and finance together. So when I was doing my investor pitches, so I was like with all jest, I was telling about the whole business model. And then I was talking about EBITDAs and PATs and stuff like that. So he just stopped me and he said, sorry, what is your qualification? So, I had to tell him, no, I'm a doctor by qualification.
I'll take that as a closing remark, Dr. Khanna. So thank you so much for being really interesting conversation, and thank you to the audience for a very engaging conversation and engaging with my panelists. Let's try to push more boundaries and invest in women's healthcare. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful conversation.
To present the next set of awards, please join us in welcoming on stage Suveen Sinha. Suveen.
When Falguni Nair built Nykaa, she made a bet most people thought was wrong. In an era where every e-commerce player was going asset light, she went the other way. Capital intensive, inventory led, and full control of the customer experience. And today, that model is the norm. Please welcome on stage an inspiration for so many, Falguni Nair, founder and CEO Nykaa. Thank you so much, FN.
Our next honoree built IndiCube from scratch. No external funding, no institutional backing. Bootstrapped from the ground up, and then taken all the way to an IPO. Please give it up for Meghna Agarwal, co-founder IndiCube.
Congratulations, Meghna. Indian cuisine is undergoing a remarkable shift. Our next honoree has been at the center of that movement. But what sets her apart is not just what she puts on the plate, it's how she gets it there. Most restaurants have a kitchen. Mask has a lab. Aditi Dugar approaches food the way scientists approach a problem, with research, with rigor, and with the conviction that Indian cuisine has depths that haven't been fully explored yet. Please give it up for Aditi Dugar of Mask.
Our next honoree, as you all know by now, was the only woman in her batch at IIT Bombay. And she topped it. Today, her work at Upstocks is helping millions of Indians access financial markets for the first time, democratizing investing in a country where that access has historically been kept unequal. Please welcome on stage Kavita Subramanian, co-founder Upstocks.
Our next honoree is a pediatrician, but her impact goes far beyond the clinic. For 8 years, she fought a legal and advocacy battle against pharma and FMCG companies to protect children from fake ORS. Oral rehydration salts that millions of Indian families rely on. She fought it largely alone, and she won. Please welcome on stage Dr. Sivaranjani Santosh, pediatrician. Thank you so much, Dr. Sivaranjani, and congratulations. A huge congratulations to all our honorees, and sincere thanks to Suveen for helping us celebrate this extraordinary group of women.
The phrase self-made gets thrown around very casually today. But behind every so-called overnight success is years of risk, reinvention, and resilience.
Our next conversation is about exactly that, what it takes to build a career, a brand, and an identity entirely on your own terms. To moderate this conversation, please welcome Kunal Purandare to the stage. And joining him are two actors who have built remarkable careers across industries, genres, and platforms entirely on their own terms. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome them with a huge round of applause, Bhumi Satish Pednekar and Tamanna Bhatia.
We have with us two stars who have created a distinct identity for themselves with their craft, path-breaking choices, and a go-getter attitude. Thank you so much, Bhumi and Tamanna, for being here. I'll start with you, Bhumi. You completed a decade in the Hindi film industry last year.
I know. It's been a decade already.
But you've been a risk taker right from the beginning. For your first film, Dam Laga Ke Haisha, you put on 24 kilos. It's, for a debut film, actresses like to look glam and fab, but your character of Sandhya was anything that a typical Hindi film heroine isn't. A small town girl, married, overweight. Is it in your DNA to defy norms and challenge yourself? Has that been your go-to mantra right from the beginning?
You know, honestly, when I started my career, I didn't really have a choice. All I ever wanted to do was be an actor, and when I was given the opportunity, yes, I gained weight. If somebody would have told me chop off a finger, I would have done that too, because it's very, very rare for opportunities like so to come your way. I think I got very lucky with my first film, and I realized that there's a lot of power in performance, there's a lot of power in content-heavy cinema, and a lot of roles like so weren't written at that time. And I think I kind of like realized that, okay, it was also my strategy, because I realized it's a great way for me to create a space for myself which will give me longevity. And that's exactly what I did. I think I also have a lot of activism and advocacy in me as a human being. I think the roles that I choose are a natural. I naturally resonate with them because I truly feel that cinema is a very powerful tool. And it has the ability to reach out to so many people when used the right way. So entertainment to me is very, very important. But if it can have some sort of a positive impact, I think that is more satisfying to me. And that's pretty much been my journey. And in many ways, my strategy, my formula, because I love what I do, man. I want to be doing this for the rest of my life. And I just hope that I keep challenging myself, keep breaking the glass ceiling, keep breaking every boundary that I've created for myself over the years.
Tamanna, you already had an astonishing 2-decade career. You're from Mumbai, the home to the film industry, Hindi film industry. But you created a niche for yourself down south, starring in some of the biggest blockbusters in Tamil and Telugu cinema. Bahubali, of course, changed the trajectory of your career. It was a bold decision given the language barrier and the unfamiliar terrain. Did you always believe it yourself, or was it just about latching onto every opportunity that you got? Or is it just that you're a person who likes to go against the grain?
Good evening, everyone. How are you guys doing? Good. I'm really excited I'm here tonight, and I'm very excited that I'm sharing it with someone I admire, adore. She's an actor. I've always loved her work, always get inspired whenever I see any of her work. And I feel everything in retrospect looks like you did well and it's a good decision. At the time when Bahubali was being made, it was a Telugu film with a 200 crore budget. It was actually, a straight way to failure if you thought of it from a strategic point of view. But I think with the movies and a creative business, it's all about one person thinking that whether anybody else thinks this is right or wrong, they think that this is the only way it should be. And that's why Bahubali was made as a Telugu film and meant to be consumed by the entire nation. And I feel like that's where the whole pan-India conversation even started to begin with. I've just been a person who's obsessed with trying to perform. I was that irritating kid in a party who said, "Main solo performance karungi." So my obsession for wanting to perform led me to, just like how Bhumi said, take on every opportunity that came my way initially, because for someone who's not from the film industry or doesn't have any connection, the only way is to see what you're getting and make that the best opportunity. And oddly enough, while I kept working, I also realized that it is still the only strategy, that not that any opportunity is a great opportunity or that is a great opportunity. Yes, there are better combinations than others because ours is a very collective art form unlike any other. So yes, there are better opportunities than the other, but I still feel like at the end it's what you're going to make out of the opportunity. And in my career, what's worked for me is everything that I thought, oh God, this is going to be terrible, that ended up becoming like a big thing. So
no, I think that happens with all of us.
All of us, right? Like
every time I was told by people around, "Ye mat karna, no, this film is a big mistake," it has turned out to be the best decision I've taken for myself. Because instinctively we just know. But I also have to share a fun anecdote. So Tamanna and I both are from Bombay, and our schools are in Juhu, this area. I mean, everybody over here obviously knows Juhu. So when she got a film, because I was I think 12 or 13 when I told my mom ki main to actor banungi. Then there was this girl called Tamanna Bhatia, because we both are similarly aged. Okay, I think 9th or 10th you got your film? Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, there's a girl who's from the school next door who is already acting, and it was such a big thing in all of our circles. I don't think we've ever spoken about it, but I just remember, I was like, it was such a big topic of discussion that somebody that we all went to tuitions with, 6 degrees of separation, them. I was like, acting? It was a very big deal. I have to tell you, Juhu was on fire.
I will tell you one thing. The only hardest part of being in school and wanting to act is I had colored hair, and anybody who's all women will associate, I had to hide my color with hair oil. So that was my school life, and here we are.
But Tamanna, as an outsider, is it easier to, say, break into the southern film industry compared to Bollywood?
Honestly, I'm scared to even say this, but when I actually started working down south, I didn't even know there's a South Indian film industry. I grew up on Hindi movies, and I got a call from my first film's producer, my first South film. Actually, my first film was a Hindi film, just for information. My first South film, it came to me when I was giving my 10th board examinations. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm going to do this. And I don't know if it was easier or more difficult, because I was giving my boards and I also needed to take a meeting for work. So I was like, wow, this is the kind of problems I want in my life. And so I made many more of those problems.
But coming from non-film families, it is quite brave of you all to, stick to your guns and go the full throttle. Because at the end of the day, it is an industry which keeps changing. It's not easy to adapt and survive for so long. It is still male-dominated. I want to know from both of you all, what has gone behind making the successful self-made women that you all are, and what have your experiences been vis-a-vis the star kids?
Should I go first? I think for me, honestly, there were certain events in my life that happened that really kind of rocked the boat for me. When I started my career, for me, success was also survival. I had to make that money. I needed the film to be a success. I was just trying to do my best because there was an entire ecosystem that I was supporting, and this is the real truth of it. I'm very lucky that I get to do it. I get to do something that I love. I wake up every day and I get to go on a film set. I'm one of those rare people that had an opportunity of doing this by following their passion. But for me, success is survival, and it still is. And I don't think that ever stops, because with this attitude, my hunger doesn't ever stop. When people ask me what is your ultimate goal, I actually don't have an answer, because I don't know what my ultimate goal is. I have clarity about one thing, that I want to be a good human being. I think the definition of that kind of varies for everybody. Spirituality is a very big part of what I do. As I said, my advocacy, my activism is a very big part of what I do. And I know where I want to reach with that. But where do I want to reach with success? I don't really know. And how do you survive it? There's no formula. Your only formula is be authentic. Be your most real self, especially today. And I've learned this from mistakes that I have made in the past as well. And I own up to them, and I'm very vocal about them. Today, more than ever, there's nothing more precious than authenticity. Because the world is so fake. Everything is a made-up narrative. Everything is manufactured. In that fake world, how do you kind of stay true to who you are, what your belief system is, what your moral compass is? And there are so many people that will constantly tell you, no, you're wrong, do this way. Because following a formula or following a path that has been walked on is very easy. Doing something that hasn't been done scares people, especially as women. If you're a woman that's walking your own path, you're going to scare the society. And they will constantly try and push you into a corner. They'll constantly try and box you. But coming out victorious from that box is what gives me fire. And I think film after film, I think that's what I've seeked, and that's what's worked, and that's my strategy, that's my formula. And for any non-film kid, I think I would just tell them, find that niche, because there is nothing bigger than the power of performance. We are actors. This world is to act, and any sort of performance. If you're a dancer and that's what you ace at, or whatever your strength is, play to your strengths, because there'll be nobody like you.
Amanna?
Actually forgot your question.
What has gone behind making...
Little taken over by Bhumi's words.
What has gone behind the making of the self-made women that you are, and what has your experience been vis-a-vis the star kids?
I think I am generally a committed person. I commit to anything, and then I go all the way. Not sort of, I don't judge then that what's going to come my way. And I think what I did was, success was not something that, of course, came immediately. But I knew I'm going to enjoy doing this every day. And I just kept doing it. And then there was one day it worked. I don't know how different... I guess there are different pressures on actors who are from the film industry. But I guess the difference is, I did not get a chance to prep. My prep was on location. My prep was on a film set. I had to learn a new language. In fact, I had to learn 2 new languages because I chose to work in the South. And Tamil and Telugu were languages I didn't come to me naturally. I took the long road. I did not do any shortcuts. I think that's something that I did. I never took shortcuts. I always took the longer cut. But that helped me sustain. Like, I think 20 years happens only when you don't take shortcuts. Thank you. It's just, I think that happens because you don't take shortcuts and you don't be like, chalta hai. That chalta hai attitude was not there. I think there is this thing of, you don't have to always, if there's anything that I would tell anybody about my journey, I would just say one thing, that you can't keep, sort of, kind of trying to wait for that perfect opportunity, because it doesn't really exist. And you can't keep thinking you will prep, because that's another form of procrastination. I think the one thing you need to do is just dive into whatever you do and then just execute it, because in that process you realize what you were supposed to do in the first place. So I just kept diving into the job. And to be honest, many times I committed to jobs I had no clue how to do. But I would be like, I can do this. Horse riding, yeah, I'll do horse riding. Yeah, I'm a warrior. Yeah, yes, I will take a sword and I will fight. I knew none of that. Actually knew none of it. But I went for it because I felt like the only way to learn something is to do it.
Yes, as both of you all said, the scrutiny on actresses is intense and the pressure enormous. Bhumi, you face a lot of body shaming after you put on weight for Dum Laga Ke Haisha, and even after that. Did that take a toll on you, and how did you keep your personal sanity in the face of such disparaging remarks?
It's not about being actors, Kunal. Women in general are constantly picked on, commented on, because you can be big, small, tall, short, anything. You're never meeting a beauty standard that has been set by men. So now I'm too immune to it. I really don't care. I'm like, you can have thousands of comments about me, but my body has to carry me for many, many decades more. And I'm not going to let any of that objectification, negativity affect me. Because I am yet to have kids. I am yet to, there's so much more I want to do with my life. I've barely done anything, and I'm not going to let any silly opinions come my way. And I think I've kind of always stood for that. And I have to tell you, it's not easy. It's tough. You have to constantly keep rebuilding yourself and telling yourself that, no, you are better than all this conversation and noise around you. And especially, again, I keep coming back to the internet. You see the level of trolling, bullying, just the kind of stuff that goes on. Because especially if you're a public figure, you're dehumanized. They forget that there is a human being on the other side who has a family, a mother, friends that get affected by all the crap that you talk because you're a frustrated human being. So as you can see, I really don't care at this point. And I'm very, very fortunate that I've had the kind of films that kind of have helped me fix that narrative for myself. And thank God for that. Thank God my first film was Dum Laga Ke Haisha, where I gained 40 kgs. And, I think I've done every kind of thing. I've played a 70-year-old beautiful woman to a range of things. And I think the person that I am today who can sit here and say, I don't care, is because of those characters and all of those girls that I played, because they have given me so much strength to just battle all of this garbage that we are surrounded by.
Tamanna, you haven't been spared either. You faced a barrage of sexist, lewd remarks about your face, your body, and not just by the audience, but also members of your fraternity at times. Has it upset your morale in any way, or do you take that as an opportunity to shut them up with your success?
The fact remains, anybody's opinion about anybody is basically a reflection of them. Absolutely. And not really a reflection of who I am. So if someone passes a comment, XYZ, on XYZ, it literally means that's them. It's really not on me. Having said that, I recently was in a public washroom, and a woman came up to me and she was like, you were nicer when you were chubby. You have lost too much weight. Can you put on some weight back? And I'm like, yeah, sure. It would just be 2 burgers away. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting that at the end, you have to like who you are. And I feel like when I was, whichever size I was, I liked myself. And I feel like that's the moment you can see yourself and feel beautiful when you look at yourself, I feel everyone thinks you're amazing and thinks you're beautiful. But the moment you don't like yourself, nobody likes you. So it's actually such a personal thing, and it's really not even about other people most of the times. So yeah, so people can have their opinions. Great, it's great on the internet. It's fun to, I keep scrolling. It's nice. It's entertainment, and I look at it like that.
But your success has spoken louder than ever. If the 1 billion plus views on Aaj Ki Raat are any indication, Tamanna, you've redefined a playbook of special songs in films, or item numbers as the audience calls it. You're paid huge sums for those, sometimes maybe even more than what an actress is paid for a film. How do you look at these dance numbers? Do you see them as a commercial bonanza, or is dance a form of self-expression for you? Do you get an emotional high with such performances?
So for me, I'm not a trained dancer. I've never been trained in, never been trained. I didn't get the opportunity to train actually. I love dancing though. And I think the only way to do anything well, now including the fine jewelry that I'm creating, is to fall in love with something. And I fell in love long, long ago with dance. And it took me only 21 years to arrive at a very famous song. So people normally ask me, how long did it take you to rehearse for Aaj Ki Raat? I said, only 21 years. And that's what people see. But having said that, can I tell you one thing? This is my understanding of stardom, even as a child, okay? When my favorite cinema idols would smile or would flip their hair, it would just give me a rush in my body because it excited me. I love to see them in their glamour and their, this aura of the greatest. And I feel like essentially when you perform what we call, what everyone really gets scared to call item numbers and gets, it's songs and special songs and whatever you would like to call that. I just feel like that's a celebration of that aura. It's a celebration of this bigger, larger than life. And it's a celebration of a woman who is in her skin. And I feel like for me, that's how I looked at it. And to be honest, when I do any of my songs, I actually try to channel a certain character, which helps me kind of bring out something different in each song that I do. I really enjoy doing the songs. And I always will. I think it's a beautiful, I have my 80-year-old aunt dancing to BD Jalaile even now in every party. So I feel like those songs, they can take a list of those songs. They're the party songs. People, have fun. Shaadiyon mein hota hai, sab kidhar play hota hai. So they're timeless. In fact, people forget movies, but sometimes they don't forget songs. So it's powerful.
Absolutely. Bhumi, if dance is Tamanna's passion, you have been a climate crusader since a young age. You've spoken about the adverse effects of climate change and how little actions can make a difference. You were named the Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum a couple of years ago, and you've also invested in startups providing sustainable solutions. There's also the Bhumi Foundation, where all your philanthropic work is rooted. Does being a celeb help promote such a cause, and what is the kind of difference that you're going to trying to make with these initiatives?
Absolutely. I think being an actor gives me a large platform, and all of the work that I passionately feel about can reach the right audience. With Climate Warrior, you and I have spoken about it in the past as well. I started Climate Warrior in 2018, but my work within the space of climate literally happened since I was a young adult. I grew up with climate anxiety. I did not know I had it because mental health wasn't ever discussed or spoken about back then. And I just was on this mission of meeting people that felt the way I did, because I believed as a child that the world is going to reach a catastrophic point, and it has. What felt like a fictional situation when I was a child is a reality that we are living today. We are in a heat wave. We've had 40 heat waves this year. We are dealing with extreme climate situations, and it's only going to keep getting worse. And I don't want to sound like I'm being a pessimist, but this is our reality. We've ignored science and what scientists had to say and what experts had to say for many, many years. And we collectively have to make sure that we fight for our basic right, which is clean air, clean nutrition, clean water. And I think that is something that I'm extremely passionate about. And of course, being an actor has helped me communicate that. Platforms like sitting in front of such an incredible audience, and I hope that they take this message forward, because like us, the world that we grew up in, which was abundant, all of our kids have that right as well, and it's not going to happen. I recently had a little cousin of mine who had not seen a butterfly. Yes, and I was amazed. Think about it. In Bombay, when do you see butterflies? It doesn't happen. This is the reality we are living in. But anyways, being an actor gives me an opportunity to be on platforms like so, and whatever work that I do through Climate Warrior, any of my philanthropic work, I'm just very, very lucky that I have an audience and a community that I have built over many years that now listens to me, and I just want to keep doing the work that I'm doing.
And you've also come up with Back Bay, a self-funded premium beverage brand. What is the intention behind launching it, and how do you plan to take on the giants in this space?
Well, I have to tell you that I have entered maybe the toughest category within the FMCG world. My sister, who is my co-founder, we started off as two girls that were on a mission, very passionate about making sure that the beverage industry kind of cleans up because it is full of nasty, sugary drinks. Ma'am here knows how corrupt, the category is. And I was kind of sick and tired of just have options that are available in plastic. I was like, there has to be more, and then we kind of like came across this packaging, and that's how our journey started as a water company. But today we are a beverage brand. We have 4 more SKUs that we are going to launch within the year. We are completely self-funded, and it's a different high, man. It's maybe one of the riskiest things that I've done, but also one of the most gratifying, ballsy things that I've done. And every day is a new challenge. It's like a thriller film, because as an actor, you just reach, you act, you exit, and then, of course, the fate of the film has an impact on you. But as a founder, you just are thrown with these questions, and at times you don't have an answer to those questions. But I fake it, and I figure it out, and I think that's how we've reached here. And it's been quite an incredible journey. And yeah, I'm just very, very proud of where we are and where Back Bay is.
But the water costs 150 for 500 ml and 200
130. Please don't increase my pricing unnecessarily. Okay, I've had enough conversation around this. Complete your question.
Yeah, and 200 for 750 ml?
No,
okay.
175 for 750 ml.
What do you have to say to those who find it obnoxiously expensive for bottled water?
Kunal, I'm a premium water brand. You know what the category exists of? An Indian brand, I'm not going to mention the name, which is in glass, is for a 750 ml is for 300 rupees. So within the premium water category, I've tried my best to make the water as affordable for that consumer. I've been very, very clear. I know where my water stands, and within the category, we're actually one of the cheaper ones. Because if I have to give you a comparable of glass water, a 500 ml of Himalayan mineral water would be about 180 to 200 rupees. Glass is a lot more expensive, guys. This is also a lot more sustainable. Let me just tell you that.
Tamanna, you turned entrepreneur this year with Tamanna Fine Jewelry. How did you decide to enter into this space, and what are your learnings as a businesswoman so far?
My father's been a jeweler for the past 15 years. And of course, the one thing that is at home is the last thing you want to look at. You're like, kuch aur karte hai. So for many years, I did kuch aur. But while I was doing kuch aur, I also realized that I had to get ready every single day of my life. And I was often put into really uncomfortable clothes in the name of fashion. And while I was doing that, I realized, why am I doing this? So I said I need to find a more, and I feel like glamour comes very naturally to me. I want to wake up looking glamorous. I don't want this process to be this 3-hour process, which it actually is. But so I felt that, and I feel like every girl should just be able to, or man, should be able to just put on fine jewelry and not have to take off their jewelry every time. So I started to build this while I would style myself, and I would realize, oh, I need this, but I don't have this. And I went to retail stores, many retail stores, many brands, the biggest brands in our country. And I noticed that only when I went abroad and then I found some international brands, they were the only ones kind of making that kind of jewelry that can be worn every day, but also to a occasion. Indian brands still serviced your very traditional, they operated very traditionally, but they also just serviced your weddings and functions and special occasions. So there was a lot when it came to traditional Indian jewelry. We're great at heritage. We have the best craftsmanship in the world. And I think we churn out very ornate beauty very easily, very effortlessly. But I felt like something that could make someone feel like, oh, this jewelry is like an arm and leg of mine. Like it becomes a part of you. I feel like that jewelry did not exist within the Indian retail space. Yes, so what people did mostly is they went to their home jeweler, because in our country we all have home jewelers. So when we like a piece from say Cartier or Bulgari, we would be like, isko copy kar do, because why not? Because हम कर सकते हैं और हम बहुत अच्छा करते हैं. But the point is that why not an Indian brand that has a strong design language, gives you fashion, gives you style, gives you volume, because all I saw in terms of bold gold was temple jewelry in India. But we all dress up in so many different ways. We're sometimes Westernly dressed, sometimes we are Indianly dressed. We have such a variety and we're always so eclectic. So I wanted to do bold gold and diamond, natural diamond jewelry within my space. So, so yeah, that's what I started to build. I had the luxury of production with my father. So my father basically helped me produce all the pieces. So I started making one piece, and then of course a team was built. And this has all been the work of 2.5 years, and here we are. We launched this January. My learnings are that once you become an entrepreneur, you have to face every single fear of your life all the time. Whatever you ran away from becomes an everyday reality. And the only way is to face that reality. And yeah, you're the head. I mean, from the pin to the biggest thing that goes into a retail space, I had to figure it out myself. Because I didn't have any reference point, and also the genre I chose. I truly think that India can wear fine jewelry differently, and that's what I tried to build. And I felt like it was not about just building a brand, but also building a retail space where people can easily shop it. So today we sell online, and we have a retail space, of course. And I hope that the retail business is what I want to really work on, and hopefully have it all over the country and hopefully globally too.
So what's your investment philosophy? What kind of an investor are you?
I'm a Sindhi. I don't know if that says much about me. मुझे मतलब पैसा बनाना is part of the blood. So I just find at the end a business. I mean, I'm not that person. I'm like, I love passion and all that. I love all that I do for a living. But I feel like it's very important to make sure your business makes money. And so we do everything that helps us make money.
Lovely. On that note, I think we can end this conversation. Kudos to both of you all. You all are both self-made women.
Thank you.
Who've created your own identity with your hard work and determination. We wish you all the best. Thank you, Bhumi. Thank you, Tamanna. Lovely speaking with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much, and thank you so much, Kunal. This was a great conversation. Wow, this seems to be our last panel, and still a very, very packed room. Thank you all for being here. Wonderful. As we come to the final set of felicitations this evening, what stands out the most is that there's this extraordinary range of leadership that we have celebrated tonight across business, technology, culture, finance, fashion, media, science, the arts, and a lot more. It is now our privilege to invite Sumaira Abdulali, founder, Awas Foundation, and Dr. Manika Khanna, founder, CEO, and chairperson, Gaudium IVF, to the stage to present the next set of awards. Some people use their platform, others use it to push conversations forward. Our next icon of excellence honoree is someone who has always chosen the latter. As a climate advocate, she has been one of the most vocal celebrities voicing on an issue that most prefer to sidestep on. As an actor, she transforms herself completely to inhabit her characters physically, emotionally, entirely. Dam Laga Ke Haisha, Son Chiraiya, Dal Dal, roles that demanded everything and got it. As an actor, entrepreneur, and climate advocate, she has consistently used visibility with intention. Forbes India is proud to honor Bhumi Satish Pednekar as an icon of excellence tonight. Congratulations, Bhumi.
Kate Middleton wore an Anita Dongre design during her official tour of India. Beyonce, Hillary Clinton, Sophie Turner. The list of women who have chosen her work speaks for itself. And she was among the first Indian designers to open standalone retail stores abroad, including in Soho, New York. Her work carries an unusual ability to balance heritage, scale, and sustainability with elegance and authenticity. Anita Dongre is unable to be with us tonight, but her son is here to accept this honor on her behalf. Please welcome Yash Dongre to the stage.
Congratulations. Our next honorees are building what has been described as a Google map for the brain. Using AI and machine learning, BrainSight AI is mapping the human neural pathways in ways that could fundamentally change how we understand and treat the brain. Please welcome to the stage Laina Emmanuel, founder and CEO, and Rimjim Agarwal, co-founder and CTO, BrainSight AI. Congratulations, Laina and Rimjim.
The next honoree made her debut in one of the most iconic films in Indian cinema, Gangs of Wasseypur. And she delivered a line that has lived rent-free in our heads ever since. Permission leni chahiye thi na? Since then, she's built a body of work that refuses to play it safe. Characters that are complex, unconventional, and deeply human. Across film, streaming, international cinema, and now literature, she brings both strength and wonder to every character she inhabits. Her latest film, Single Salma, follows a woman torn between suitors who ultimately chooses the most radical option of all, herself. Actor, author, and one of the most interesting creative minds working in Indian cinema today. Please give it up for Huma Qureshi. Congratulations, Huma, and I apologize for butchering your iconic line.
Her first auction was of baseball memorabilia in New York, where the audience was a room full of American male baseball enthusiasts. She was 20-something years old. The confidence that she had then has since only grown. Malika Sagar has broken ground as India's first female sports auctioneer, conducting IPL, WPL, Pro Kabaddi League, and Rugby League auctions. She commands a room full of who's who bidding feverishly for the most elite of athletes as well as the most prized works of art at Pandols. And she does it with elan. Please welcome her on stage with a huge round of applause.
For nearly 2 decades, Tamanna Bhatia has remained one of India's most celebrated cinema stars, seamlessly conquering Bollywood and regional industries alike with blockbuster films, iconic songs, and unforgettable performances. Beyond the screen, Tamanna has also emerged as a sharp entrepreneur, with Tamanna Fine Jewelry as a brand inspired by craftsmanship, heritage, and modern luxury. A true pan-Indian powerhouse, she represents the rare blend of stardom and business acumen, redefining the modern-day icon. Please give it up for Tamanna Bhatia, actor and entrepreneur.
Can we please request, Tamanna, can we request you to just stay back? Can we invite all the winners to please come on stage for a group photograph? What an incredible group of women we've celebrated tonight. And a huge congratulations to all of you. Thank you everyone. As we close this evening, we celebrate not just achievement, but the incredible influence and impact of the women we honored tonight. A heartfelt thank you to all our honorees, speakers, presenters, and guests for being a part of the Forbes India W-Power 2026. And once again, a special thanks to our associate partners, House of Glenfiddich and Reliance Industries. Have a wonderful evening and good night.